The heartland of America, a place where the landscape stretches out in a patchwork of fields and the horizon seems endless. This is where the American dream of simplicity and community thrives. A place where folks trust their neighbors, where a friendly wave and a warm smile are part of daily life. It's a community where everyone knows each other and there's a sense of belonging, where doors are left unlocked, homes are open to friends and family, and there's a sense of safety and security that comes from knowing your neighbors. That was Villisca, Iowa, in 1912. A small, tight-knit community where life was simple and the days were filled with the routines of rural living. But on a hot June night, that peace was shattered. The tranquility of this idyllic town was broken by an unimaginable horror. Evil visited the Moore family home. Under the cover of darkness, a sinister presence crept into the house, bringing with it a night of terror. 8 souls, brutally silenced by an axe. The killer? Never found. The Moore family, along with 2 young guests, were mercilessly slain in their sleep. The Villisca Axe Murders remain one of America's most haunting unsolved crimes. This wasn't Chicago, folks. This was small-town America, a place where such violence was unthinkable, a place where people knew their neighbors, where the idea of locking your door at night seemed unnecessary. The shock and fear that gripped Villisca were palpable. So, when the entire Moore family, along with 2 young guests, were found murdered in their beds, it sent shockwaves across the nation. The brutality of the crime was beyond comprehension. Who could commit such a horrific act and why? The questions lingered, haunting the town and the nation. The investigation was thorough, but the answers remained elusive. The mystery of the Villisca Axe Murders continues to baffle and terrify, a dark chapter in the history of a once peaceful town. Josiah and Sarah Moore were a well-respected couple in Villisca. They were known for their kindness and generosity, always willing to lend a helping hand to their neighbors and friends. Josiah ran a successful business, and Sarah was deeply involved in community activities. They had 4 children: Herman, Catherine, Boyd, and Paul. Each child had their own unique personality and talents. Herman, the eldest, was known for his curiosity and love for reading. Catherine had a passion for music and often played the piano. Boyd and Paul, the youngest, were inseparable and loved playing outdoors. The family was active in their church. They attended services regularly and participated in various church events. Their faith was a cornerstone of their lives, guiding their actions and decisions. They attended the Children's Day services at the Presbyterian Church on June 9, 1912. It was a special event filled with songs, recitations, and performances by the children. The Moores were proud to see their children participate and enjoy the festivities. Little did they know it would be their last. The day seemed like any other, filled with joy and laughter, but an ominous cloud loomed over the town, unnoticed by the unsuspecting family. After the service, the Moores invited 2 young girls, Lena and Ina Stillinger, to spend the night. The Stillinger sisters were close friends of the Moore children, and sleepovers were a common occurrence filled with fun and excitement. A common practice back then, neighbors helping neighbors. The community was tight-knit, and everyone looked out for one another. It was a simpler time where trust and camaraderie were the norm. The children played games, unaware of the darkness lurking just hours away. They laughed and enjoyed each other's company, blissfully ignorant of the impending tragedy that would soon shatter their world. That evening, the family enjoyed a simple meal. They gathered around the table, sharing stories and laughter, savoring the warmth and comfort of their home. It was a moment of togetherness that would be their last. The children were tucked into bed. The house fell silent. The Stillinger sisters slept soundly alongside the Moore children, their dreams undisturbed by the looming danger. What happened next, nobody knows for sure. The events of that night remain shrouded in mystery, leaving behind a haunting legacy that still echoes through the halls of the Moore house. The next morning, Mary Peckham, the Moore's neighbour, noticed something was wrong. The house was eerily quiet. The chores were left undone. Worried, she knocked on the door. No answer. She tried the doorknob, unlocked, A chill ran down her spine. Stepping inside, Mary was met with a scene of unimaginable horror. The bodies of the Moore family, along with their 2 young guests, lay scattered throughout the house. All were bludgeoned to death. An axe, found leaning against the wall, was the murder weapon. The sight was so gruesome, so profoundly disturbing, that even the seasoned lawmen who arrived on the scene were shaken to their core. Word of the murders spread through Villisca like wildfire. Fear gripped the town. Who could have done this? Was it a stranger passing through, or someone they knew? The investigation began immediately, but it was hampered by the lack of forensic technology at the time. Fingerprinting was in its infancy. DNA analysis was decades away. The crime scene, unfortunately, was compromised by curious onlookers. Despite their best efforts, the investigators struggled to piece together the events of that night. Every clue seemed to lead to a dead end. The killer, it seemed, had vanished without a trace. Section 5. Suspects in the Shadows. Over the years, the investigation into the Villisca Axe Murders has had its fair share of suspects. Some were drifters passing through town. Others were prominent members of the community. One suspect, Reverend George Kelly, was a travelling preacher who had been in Villisca around the time of the murders. Kelly was known to have suffered from mental illness. He even confessed to the crime, but his confession was later recanted. Another suspect was Frank Jones, a local businessman who had a contentious relationship with Josiah Moore. Despite the suspicions, no concrete evidence ever linked either man to the crime. Section 6. Whispers of conspiracy. With no definitive answers, theories and conspiracies flourished. Some whispered about a possible cover-up, others pointed to secret societies and occult rituals. The murders, after all, occurred on the night before the Christian holy day of Pentecost. One particularly intriguing theory involves a serial killer named Henry Lee Moore, no relation to the victims. He was known to have committed similar crimes around the same time period. However, no direct link to the Villisca murders was ever established. The lack of a definitive answer has only fueled the public's fascination with the case. Section 7. The enduring mystery. More than a century has passed since that horrific night in Villisca. The crime remains unsolved. The killer never brought to justice. The case has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and even a movie. The house itself has become a macabre tourist attraction. Visitors come from all over, hoping to catch a glimpse of the paranormal. Some claim to have experienced strange and unexplained phenomena within its walls. The Villisca Axe Murders serve as a chilling reminder that even in the quietest corners of America, darkness can lurk. Section 8. Villisca, a site of dark tourism. The house on 508 East 2nd Street in Villisca still stands. It's now a museum, preserved much as it was in 1912. People come from all over, drawn by the mystery, the horror. They walk the same floors, see the same furniture. Some say they feel a presence, a coldness. Others claim to hear whispers, footsteps. The house is a time capsule of tragedy, a chilling reminder of a crime that shocked a nation. But it's more than just a museum. It's a place where people confront their own mortality, their own fears. Section 9. Unanswered questions linger. The Villisca Axe Murders remain a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the shadows. On a quiet night in 1912, the small town of Villisca, Iowa, was forever changed by an act of unimaginable violence. The case, with its lack of a definitive answer, continues to fascinate and frustrate true crime enthusiasts to this day. Despite numerous investigations and countless theories, the identity of the perpetrator remains shrouded in mystery. It's a story that forces us to confront the unknown. The unanswered questions and the eerie silence of the night make us ponder the nature of evil and the fragility of life, to acknowledge that some mysteries may never be solved. The Villisca Axe Murders serve as a chilling reminder that not all stories have a clear ending, and not all crimes are brought to justice. Was it a random act of violence, a moment of madness that led to the brutal slaying of an entire family, or a carefully planned execution? A sinister plot carried out with cold precision and a dark motive? Who was the shadowy figure that crept into the Moore house that night? Was it someone they knew, or a stranger with a hidden agenda? And what drove them to commit such a horrific act? Was it revenge, jealousy, or something even more sinister that we cannot comprehend? These questions linger in the air, unanswered. They haunt the memories of those who have studied the case and the descendants of the victims. Perhaps one day the truth will emerge from the shadows. New evidence might come to light, or a long-lost confession might be discovered. But until then, the mystery of the Villisca Axe Murders lives on. It remains a dark chapter in the history of Villisca, a story that continues to captivate and terrify those who dare to delve into its depths.